Hello, this is Mr. Kent of MrKent.com, and recently DJI released, I guess it would be version 2 of their Waypoints app, or it's like a flight plan creator. And so I played with it. If you've watched my last video, it was a comedy show because I was trying to learn how to use it. Well, anyway, in the meantime, I have studied up on it, and it works pretty nice. And so I thought, well, somebody asked me to put up a video on how to use it. So here we go. All right, that's the purpose of this video. And so I'm going to go through as much as I have learned so far. Okay, so you're in the flight mode here. And if you go over here to the left, there's a little, it looks like a guy with eyeballs, and that's, I don't know what you call that. But anyway, so we're going to click on that. And then I could read you this, but what this tells you is that you're going to run into problems if you're not careful. There are certain zones that you should not fly into, and it will stay out of those zones. It'll fly up to the edge and hover or something like that. So anyway, I don't know if you can disagree with that, and then you can't get into these things, but better be agreeable. You get along better that way. Now, so down at the bottom we have this a menu, and over at, actually we can slide it and go across like this. But the one we're interested in is Waypoints, so we're just going to click on that. And if you've created a flight plan, it's going to say, do you want to recover a task? But I don't want to recover a task. We're going to create a new one. So we click on cancel. Okay, and we'll enlarge this thing. And by the way, I thought, how come it's so dimmed out? There's something wrong. And I went through settings and tried to figure it out. And then when I clicked on this little question mark over here, I noticed their map was the same way. So there's nothing wrong with my tablet. It's just they gray it out like that for some purpose. But anyway, so but this is a tutorial, and it'll show you how to do some of the basic things. Okay, so we'll just close that because I already know it all. Another comedy act here. But what we don't, this is my house, and so there's my favorite flying park, which is where is it? It's up here somewhere. Further up, there's the school. There's my flying park right there, right in the middle of the screen. But we're going to zoom in as far as we can. And what I want to do, excuse me, what I want to do is test the object avoidance, how it works in a flight plan. So I'm going to start out would be the northeast. And I'm going to create a waypoint. Okay, so you just tap. Well, first of all, up here in the top, if you hit if it's on blue, that's a waypoint. If it's on the star, that's a point of interest. The middle one is save, and the garbage one is not going to do anything because we don't have a waypoint. And then you have a main menu. We'll be getting to that because that's a very important menu you want to be aware of. Oh, by the way, let's just stop here, and as we go across, further to the right, if we hit this little guy, it tells us if we want to be warned about anything, and like we don't have any heliports around, so if I wanted to be an idiot, I could say, ignore that, because we don't have any heliports, but maybe I'm going to fly somewhere else, so I do want to know about heliports. And by the way, just so that I know there's not one really close, but there is one, about a mile away from us. So in that case, I want to be sure and be warned if I create a flight plan that goes over that direction. Okay, and then what this middle guy is, I haven't figured that one out yet, but one of these days I will. And then now this says, do you want to show the home point, or do you want to show the where the drone is located? So I could pick either one of those. And then the next one over is map unlocking, and in the current mode I can't have that. And then over here far to the far right is which kind of a map do we want. For instance, if we want the one like is in the tutorial, this is what it looks like when I'm at the park. So I don't really want that because it's just going to show streets. And then the satellite, and it's not a whole lot different when I'm looking at this. It's not a whole lot different than the hybrid, because the hybrid is going to show the names of the streets. So we could use either one of those. All right, so that's what those little buttons up at the top are. So I want to show I want to create a flight plan that's going to see if it will avoid obstacles. So we'll go ahead and we'll create our first waypoint, which is going to be right out from where I usually set up. So it's going to be right about there. Okay, and of course it puts a 1 on it. And so that's, you know what? I can't do that because I just created a point of interest. So what I have to do is hold that down, or tap on it, just tap on it, and go up here to the top and click on the garbage can. So I'll click on the garbage can. Now he's gone. Now I got to go back to setting waypoints. Point of interest, well, we could probably have a point of interest on this one too, but maybe we'll get to that. All right, so we're going to set a waypoint right about there. Now we have a waypoint. You'll notice that the height of the waypoint is 164 feet. Well, I'm going to have my altitude to be as low as I can get it, because I'm going to stand out there and see if it runs into me. So the first thing I do is I drag. Whoops! I got to tap it. Now we go down to the very bottom, and the blue line is showing altitude. We can set the cruising speed. We can set the flying direction, and we'll talk about that in a minute. We can set the pitch of the gimbal, and we can decide what we want to do, whether we want to start recording, stop recording, or take a photo. And then if there's a point of interest, we can pick which one, if this is going to point at the point of interest. But right now we're going to just drag down on the screen. And you'll notice as I drag down, it goes down. And it'll only go down to 6 feet. And I'm not 6 feet tall. But I put my arms up in the air, okay? And I suppose that's a safety thing, because if there's any little kids out there playing when I try this, it won't mow them down, okay? So we're going to have that be 6 feet, and then we'll go to cruising speed. Now, I don't want it to go very fast, okay? So the cruising speed, I do the same thing. I drag up or down on the screen, and I want my cruising speed to be something about walking. I don't want it to be 11 miles. Whoops, come on. Get back here. Cruising speed. Oh, 0.11. I got to go up a little faster than that. So we'll go up here to at least 1 mile an hour. There, 1.05. That's good enough. Okay, so we've got that set. Now then, if we want to set the flying direction, we go to route direction. And I'm sorry. And you notice I can have it go follow the route, which is okay. Or I can set the custom direction. And by that, now this is supposedly pointing north, I think, or it's the default. And then if I move my finger up and down on the screen, like I can just keep coming down and down and down, and or I can move it. Whoops, let go things there. Or I can move it. I just screwed up there, so we'll go back down to 6. We're going flying direction. Okay, so anyway, so we've got that, but we'll just set it to route right now. Okay, and we'll come back to that later. And we don't want any. Well, let's look at gimbal pitch. Okay, we got gimbal pitch there. Gimbal pitch is you can adjust with sliding up and down also. And usually the gimbal pitch, you don't, if you want to look way down at something, you drag it to quite a few degrees. But I found in the past that 3 or 4 degrees gets rid of the heavy over, the blue sky, gets rid of a lot of that. And because normally that just kind of ruins your video unless you're looking at clouds or something. So we'll set that. We'll set it back to. We'll set it back to 0 because this is going to be at 6 feet anyway. All right. So we've got waypoint 1, and the way to go to get it set is go up very top and click on OK. Okay. So I'm going to have him fly out about to here. Okay. And you notice his arrow pointed because we got it set to follow the route. All right. And I think we're going to leave it like that. But if we wanted to change it so that, well, let's just make another waypoint just for fun. He's going to go out there and he's going to turn this direction. All right. You'll notice they keep following the route. But if we want to change that, we can go up here to the top and click on the 3 dots and go to route settings. Okay. Now you'll notice at the top thing it says polyline, and in other words, that's just in one line. Or we can switch it to arc. And what's going to happen? Unable to perform camera action. Okay, so when we switch to arc, that little thing at the bottom that said, what do you want to do? Take pictures, you want to take a video, stop the video, blah, blah, blah. Well, you can't use that when you go to arc. But we don't care. We're okay with that. So now we're going to close that. Oh, we got to click on OK. There we go. Now we're going to close that. And now the as it goes up to point 2, it would be turning as it went to point 2. By the time it got to point 2, it would be pointing in that other direction. Okay, so that's what do you call it? Go back to here. Route settings, arc. That's what arc does. Polyline just keeps it straight. So we're going to leave it in polyline, and for this anyway. So we go ahead and click on OK. So now it's going to follow that. Now what I want to do is, oh, by the way, let's say that 3 isn't exactly where I want it. So I just lightly tap and drag it. Okay, if I tap hard, it'll give me, it doesn't always work. I'll just put it that way. Okay, so I'm going to follow him. I'm going to walk along following him until he hits 2, and then he's going to turn. So now I know I got to stop right there. All right. Then it's going to go over to 3, but we want 3 to be a little bit closer. So we're going to move them down closer. Can't get them too close. They don't like that. Okay. And then, because I'm going to be standing at 2, so he's going to fly over to point number 4. Oh, guess what? I'm forgetting to set these guys their altitude. Okay. So we got to bring 2 down to 6 feet. All right. Click OK up here on the top. We got to go to 3. Bring him down to 6 feet. Click OK up here on the top. Number 4, bring him down to 6 feet. Okay, and click on OK. Now then, when he gets to point 4, I want him to turn around and come back to point 2. All right. Actually, I'm going to have him go through point 2, and we'll just have him go over here to go about right there. Oh, that's 1. I don't want 1. We'll click on OK. What we're going to do is we're going to create a point here. All right. And we're going to gently move him to where he's going to be right about there. All right. But we got to, oh, come on. There we go. We got to get him down to 6 feet again. Okay. And we can click OK up here. All right, so he's going to come down to, he's going to come through where I'm standing and go to point 5, and that's what I want. So what's going to happen is I'm going to see if he goes around me. I'll hold my arms up so it's at least 6 feet, and see if he goes around me or if he runs into me. And fortunately, I've got room to duck. So, all right, now we better save this before my battery goes dead and I lose it or something like that. So we come up here and we click on, let's go to the 3 dots and click on save, okay? And it's saved, all right? But what we want to do is we want to go in and look at the task library, because the one I just did, which is the 28th here, I want to give it a name, okay? See, I've already practiced the object avoid down there, the second one in the list. So we'll just say, watch out. We'll just give it a name, watch out. W-A-T-C-H-O-U-T. All right. So we've given it a name. Watch out. And so that's all right. Now we're still in there, so we're going to go ahead and just click X here. But let's say that we're all through, and we're going to do something else. So we'll go ahead and click on the garbage can, and it says, "You sure you want to delete all these?" Yeah, because I'm through working on it for now. Okay, so then I go away and I come back later, and it'll ask me if I want to go into the task, and so I'll say yes. And so when I do that, then I'll go here and I'll go to the task library. Okay, and now I just want to load up watch out. See, so watch out's still there even though I deleted it from the screen. So there it is, and we've got to zoom in again. All right. Okay, so let's say that after it hits 0.5, let's put in, just for fun, let's just put in a waypoint. I mean a point of interest. So we're going to go over here, we're going to put a point of interest here, and we're going to, oh, okay, that's number 1. All right. So now we're going to have it go over to 0.6, or we're going to make waypoint 6, and let's not have them be 164 feet. Let's bring that down to like 50 feet. Okay, and we got that all fixed up now, so we're done now. But we got to click OK. Now then, the thing is, what do we want it to do when it's finished with, this is our last point, and by the way, we got to get back to this. Let's go back here. All right, so a point of interest, we go over here to the far right, click on that, and we want to have it look at 1. Okay, so it's going to look at our point of interest. So now we go up and click on OK. And then what we want it to do is what are we going to have it do when it gets all through? So let's hit the 3 dots and let's go to route settings. All right, you go down here, task finished. What do we want it to do? We don't want it to return to home, and we don't want it to hover at 50 feet. Well, we can if we want to do that, or we can have it land right there. But I think what I'll have it do is just return to the first waypoint, because that way we'll go ahead and click there, because what it's going to do is it returns to point number 1. It should keep its eyes on the point of interest number 1. Okay, so it should do that, and we can't test it out here in the house, but that's what it should do. So what it's going to do is it's going to go to point 1, or it's going to take off at point 1. It's going to go to number 2, and then it's going to turn 90 degrees, go to number 3, and then it's going to turn back to and go to number 4, and then it's going to shoot through number 2 to go to point 5. Now I'll be standing at point 2, so we'll see what happens. And then after point 5, it's going to raise up to 51 feet, and it's going to be looking at the point of interest, and then it's going to stop, and it's going to go back to the 6 feet altitude of waypoint 1. Okay, now so that's my plan. Let me see if I've forgotten anything. Let's see. Oh, cruising speed. I forgot to mention that. So let's go through that. Let's take a look at point 1. Cruising speed is 1 mile an hour. Okay, so we're okay with that. We'll go to point 2. Cruising speed. We haven't set that, have we? So we're going to set that at, well, 1 mile an hour. That's close. Okay. So 2, and then 3. We'll set 3. No. Okay, so I've got all my cruising speed set. Now let's go up here, and we'll save this. Okay. Let's say that I'm sitting here and I accidentally, my finger or my stylus hit something way down here by accident. Okay, now we got a waypoint 7, so it's going to go way over there and then come back to 1, And if there's a fence, which there might be a fence spot there somewhere in that area, that's going to run into that, or object avoidance or something. So how do we get rid of that 7? Well, you tap on it, and you go up to the top of the screen, and you hit the garbage can. And that's fixed. Okay? Let me see, what else did I talked about gimbal pitch, camera action I talked about, and next waypoint. Let's take a look at 6 for a second here. Okay. And by the way, 6, if I go down here, I can see it's pointing at waypoint 1. And I can turn that off by hitting none, and it won't do it anymore. Notice how it goes back and forth as I hit these, but we'll leave it like that because that's how we want it. And then we'll go up and click on OK. Let me see. There was another thing I wanted to do. Let's take a look here. Go to route settings. All the waypoint. If we want to adjust. So we talked about task finish. Now let's talk about no RC action. In other words, if it gets out of range and I can't get it to do anything with my control, I want it to continue the task, because if I've got it set right, it's going to come back to me. We already talked about that. So we're going to have it return to or continue the task. Here's where we want all the waypoints. We want to use a custom route. Now, if we use free or route, those waypoints, the direction of the waypoints will not be adjustable. So if we use custom, we can make the waypoints change, or not the waypoints, but the direction of view, we can make that change. So we'll click here. Whoops, didn't mean to do that yet. Go to settings. Okay, now then, the cruising speed here says 8.95 miles per hour. I don't know why it says that, but we're going to drop down here to 1. Well, it won't let me go to 4.47. So anyway, we'll see. I don't know how that's supposedly for the whole route. Okay, so we'll see what that does. So we're going to click on OK, and I think we've got pretty much everything covered. If we want to get out of the flight plan mode or the waypoint, they call it waypoints. If we want to get out of that, we go over here and we click on the little waypoint thing on the left, and then we would pick on the little bug-eyed guy here. But we're going to go back in because I want to do one other thing. We get this all set up, and if we're out at the park, if we're out at the park, we're ready to fly, I tap on this screen down here, and I got all the stuff I need to start my flight. And then I can watch the flight with my monitor on my controller with my tablet, or in my tablet I can watch the flight taking place. Although now we got to go back up here. There we go. I can watch the Mavic go from point to point. So, but anyway, we want to get out of the waypoint mode. So we're going to click on that little guy over on the left. We're going to go back here to the bug-eyed guy. Okay, and now we're in normal mode, just like we normally would fly. So I think there, now we're in normal mode, like we would normally fly. So now we're ready to take off, and then if we want to go to the flight plan, we go back over here to the bug-eyed guy, we hit that, we hit waypoints, and see, now it's going to ask me if I want to recover it. So I'll say yes, because we want to get the flight plan back. And there's the last one. Okay, so I think that pretty much covers everything. And my drone battery is down to 34%, and it's going to be telling me I got a low battery here and 4 more points. I think it's 30 or something like that. Anyway, I hope this has been helpful, and I'm going to fly this in my next video. We'll go to the park and we'll fly it. So stay tuned for that, and if you have any comments or questions, never hesitate to ask. So I want to thank you for watching, and God bless.